Once upon a time, there lived a woman named Esosa. She studied accounting, but the city gave her no job, so she learned to cook. She could feed 100 people from one pot. People called her when they wanted the best. They trusted her with wedding, birthdays, and company dinners. They trusted her with their hunger. But one night, someone trusted her with something else, something that wasn't meant to be cooked. Listen close. This is the story of what the city hides when the light goes out. Esosa lived in the city. She was young and bright. She studied accounting at a college with yellow walls and tired library. After school, she sent many resumes. She went for interviews. Most time, no one called back. The city was full of degrees, but jobs were small. So, Esosa did what many do. She learned a skill that paid the bills fast. She learned catering. She learned how to measure spices by heart and how to fold rice like a blanket, how to make jollof sing. She learned how to feed a crowd and make them smile. People loved her food. Office manager called. Brides called. Families called when they needed hands for big day. Esosa cooked for company lunches, for graduation, for wakes too. Food for many moods. She was proud. She liked to work with her hands. Esosa set up a small stall near a busy road. Every morning, she woke up early, mixed spices, and stacked pots on the carts. She saved money slowly. She dreamed of opening a little restaurant one day. She was careful, polite, and brave. And the city liked her. People typed her number into their phone. One day, a man from a big office called. He said, Esosa, we need a big feast. Can you cook for 200 people tomorrow? She said yes. This is how her name traveled beyond the streets. But this call was different. It sounded polite. It sounded safe. It sounded like work. The man on the phone said the party was far, at the edge of the city. He said they would pick her up so she would not carry every pan on the bus. He sounded patient. He said, I will come for you, Esosa. Rest. We shall ease the work for you, he said. Esosa was tired that evening. She had been awake since dawn. Her feet ached. She looked at the empty cart and thought of the oven she wanted for her shop. She thought of the money she agreed. Her friends warned her. Ifoma said, take a bus. Do not go with a stranger. The other one said, they are offering to help. This is good. You must rest sometimes. Esosa listened to both. She was careful. She smiled and said, don't worry guys, I will be careful. I will try to stay safe and I will write down the plate number of the car. Esosa packed her best apron, a cooking spoon, and the small note where she kept recipes. She tightened her hair and walked down into the docks. A car came. Two men stepped out. They were polite. They lifted her box into the truck. They said nothing that made her afraid. Esosa got into the car. At first, the ride felt normal. They talked about the city show, about the price of tomatoes, about small things. Esosa felt better. Maybe this was kindness, she said. Maybe this was simply help. She looked at the driver. He smiled, but his eyes held something quiet. She did not read it. The car moved away from the neon lights. Street names she knew blinked past. Then few lights. Then none. She passed markets and small shops. Then a highway with no billboard. The city sounded like a song that fell away. Esosa asked, how far are we? Then the driver replied, just a little further. The place is beautiful. You would like it. He said it too smoothly. The road narrowed. Trees grew close to the side of the road. The air smelled different, not like the market at all. It smelled like dust, like leaves, like something the city hides. Her chest tightened, but she told herself, they said they would help. Maybe this is just a quick drive. She tried to relax. She looked at the window at the tree. At the dark, the light inside the car was dim. The radio died. Only the tired and the low hum of engine remained. Esosa began to feel small. She watched the road turn into a path. She saw a sign she did not know. The car slowed. Later appeared between trees. It felt like the city had been swallowed. And then they stepped into a place that did not need street lamp to be bright. They stopped into a clearing. Latter hung from the tree like a small mole. Music played, but the music had a sharp edge. It did not make one feel safe. People were there, wearing fine clothes that shone. They clapped and they welcomed them. Someone said, "Ah, she's here, the caterer." They were loud and smiling, but their smile did not reach their eyes. Esosa noticed how fine their clothes were, watched like small sword. Some were wearing neat agbada, some in suits. They were not simply party guests. Many of them were the kind of people who live in glass houses in the city. Billionaires, with names the radio used to whisper. She would later learn that some of the wealthiest people were part of this group. People who believed the dark ritual could keep them young, bring them more wealth, and lock their power. They handed her a wrapped bundle of money and said, "We must save you the heavy part. Please prepare the meat quickly. Our guests will be hungry," one man said. The bottle was heavy and warm. Esosa's hand trembled when she opened it. When Esosa got to where she was supposed to cook, everything was wrong. The smell was wrong. It was not the scent of any goat or cow she had cooked. The texture looked like meat, but not like any she had seen. Esosa noticed some part of the meat looking like that of human. Esosa could identify that the meat were body part of human. She wanted to faint. She wanted to scream. She wanted to run. Her body fought. Her leg did not obey. Around her, people clapped and drank and laughed. The music played louder. Esosa closed her eyes. She remembered her school days, the accounting book. She remembered practicing recipes at night. She remembered her mother's hand folding dough. None of that helped now. Esosa said she could not. She put her hands on the bundle and said, "I am sorry. I cannot cook this." They laughed. A voice colder than the wind said, "You will cook or you will not live." A gun appeared like a shadow. The silence afterward was louder than the drums. They pushed her into the fire. They made her open the pot. She felt like her heart was a heavy stone. She chopped, but her hand shook so badly, she almost dropped the knife. Tears fell. Some fell into the pot. For a moment, steam rose like ghosts. In the corner, men whispered reason they had made the hair colder. These guests were richer than any market could imagine. They believed that eating some certain flesh would keep their skin young, make their hair bright, and bring more money to their door. For a strange promise, they paid for secrecy and fear. Esosa moved like someone watching herself from a distance. Her hand stirred. The spoon hit the side with sound that grew into a small drop. Esosa did not taste the food, but she was forced by the guards to taste what she had cooked. She wanted to spit away, but she could not. Her mind splitted into pieces. Small memories returned between the blows. The sound of the market hawker, her friend's laughter, her notebook of recipe. She thought, if I refuse, I die. If I cook, I become a part of their secrets. Esosa finished cooking. When it was done, they blindfolded her. The blindfold was rough. They carried her, one hand on each arm. She smelled the hair again, the wrong smell. The last thing she heard before they put her in the car was a man's voice that said, "Good work, you have done your part." They drove Esosa back home. When she got back to the city at dawn, they threw her out at the edge of her streets. No one watched them leave. She stumbled in the grey light, blindfolded, and fell at her door. Her clothes were stained. She limped. The neighbor saw her and pointed. She removed the blindfold with hands that would not stop shaking. Her face was pale. Her voice was a thread. She told them, "I was taken by some men. They made me cook human meat. They gave me some to cook." People circled, then moved away. Some said she was lying. Some said she had been drinking. Some whispered that she was mad. Esosa cried in a small kitchen. The steam like memory Rising from the pot she had used 100 times, she wanted someone to say, "This is not truth." She wanted someone to hold her hands and say, "You are safe." But the city is loud and busy. Stories slip between noise. People believe what is easy. They had through weight like a stone. The city do not want to lift. At first, many did not believe her. A friend said, "Esosa, you must be tired. Sleep. This will pass." A shopkeeper, who sometimes bought steel from her shop, the police took her words and wrote it in tiny book. They asked questions like they were reading a test over. Esosa tried to sleep, but her dreams were loud. She dreamt of steel and faces. She woke and spoke to the pot. She set places at a small table for people who weren't there. Her neighbors noticed she was not the same. She laughed when she should not laugh. She walked in the night and whispers names. She pushed her hands into warm water and tried to wash away the smell she could not get out of her skin. Esosa talked to the wall, the pot at night. She kept asking why they did that. She kept questioning non-living things. Esosa ran mad. Her friends finally saw the change and could no longer deny what she had said. Fear is patient. It waits until doubt fades. Then someone called a small hospital. Esosa was taken to the hospital. Doctors said she had shock and severe trauma. They gave her medicine to sleep and quiet her mind. Nurses wrapped her hand and fed her porridge. For the first time since that night, Esosa slept without alarm. In time, she began to recover. The hospital staff sat by her and listened to her story. She began to heal. Not all wounds vanish. Some scars are marked. But Esosa began to sleep better. She began to speak in clear sentences. She stopped staring at imaginary pots. Her hands learned to be still. As Esosa healed, piece of truth started to move. A shopkeeper said he remembered when the car picked up Esosa at night. A license plate half safe. Little by little, the investigators found more evidence. The investigator found notes and messages that pointed to powerful people. It became clear that this was not a small group of strangers, but people with power and money. Some names connected to the very richest people in the city. The evidence suggests a dark pattern, a ritual by some billionaires who believe it will keep their skin smooth, make them look more young, and bring even more wealth. People started to listen. Police came back with questions that felt harder and sharper. They followed lead into the outskirts and asked the right people, quietly then loudly. The city that had not want to know now have many eyes. Some of the hosts were arrested, some ran and hid. The justice was not clear or whole. Some men paid fines, others vanished into places where men disappeared. The city went, but the story was no longer a secret. Esosa stood and watched. Her healing was not revenge, it was truth. She decided she would not go back to cooking for anyone who offers to pick her up in the night. She learned a hard lesson. Esosa opened a small stall again, not the big shop she once dreamed of, but a store with a pot she trusted. She cooked for her neighbors, for friends who had watched her cry and healed. This is the end of the story. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please do not forget to like, share with me in the comments your thoughts about the story. And please support your girl by subscribing to this channel. See you in my next one. Bye.